We begin with some news just in out of South Sudan, and 3 United Nations agencies have officially declared famine in part of the country. It's estimated that 40% of South Sudan's population are at risk of starvation. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization, UNICEF, and the World Food Programme are calling for urgent action to avert a catastrophe. More than 5 million people are at risk. It's the first time in 6 years that famine has been declared in Africa. Last year, a borderline famine was announced in South Sudan. The situation has been made worse in the country due to ongoing fighting between rival sides. A worrying development indeed. Let's get you more on that story now. I'm joined live from Nairobi by James Selder. He is the UNICEF Regional Chief of Communications for Eastern and Southern Africa. James, can you give us more details about the famine? Just how bad is it?
Yes, of course. Look, for those who are affected, it's hell. A declaration like this means that people are currently dying of starvation. And in this case, there's 100,000 people who are in those famine conditions. On top of that, there's another 1 million people who are classified as being on the brink of famine. Now, of course, as everyone knows, these numbers are really the faces of children and women. As I've seen scores of time in South Sudan, it's the same people who've been displaced by fighting, who have left their homes, who have gone across the country, done everything they can to provide for their kids, sold off everything they have, living on lilies and grass and so on. And they get to a point where they can no longer survive. And so we have famine, and we have people in South Sudan, largely children, dying of starvation.
What measures are in place right now to help the people of South Sudan and avoid a catastrophe?
Well, first and foremost, what we need, as you say, to avoid this worsening catastrophe is peace. Lobbying, advocating for peace, for any global parties, any regional parties that have leverage. This is a man-made catastrophe. It is a war and a collapsing economy that has left these 100,000 people facing starvation in parts of the country. Specifically, what we can do, look, UNICEF works almost in every area in South Sudan: immunisation, health, water, sanitation, of course, nutrition. Specifically, we're working with the World Food Programme and something called rapid response missions. I went on the first one of these a couple of years ago. We do them regularly. We fly into the most remote areas, often where there is conflict. WFP delivers food, UNICEF screens for malnutrition, treats children, provides health services, reunifies separated children, and so on and so on. So we need to keep doing those. We need more humanitarian workers in all parts of Unity State where there's famine. That means we need access. That means we need peace, and for warring parties to talk to one another, because, of course, famine spreading, and as you say, this catastrophe worsening, can only be mitigated if food aid is increased and it reaches those it's meant for. And that means fighting parties putting down their guns and outside countries supporting with funds.
Right, James Selder speaking to us live on the line from Nairobi. Many thanks, James. Now let's stay in South Sudan and more